Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 314, a different kind of Misty. The episode begins showcasing a tower surrounded by a whole bunch of fog. This tower also functioned as a lighthouse, and it sat on top of a large hill, being so tall that anyone inside could see for miles ahead if they looked out of it. Inside of the lighthouse currently was none other than a boy who was polishing a stone, and suddenly he turned around since he heard a noise behind him, and this noise was revealed to be Team Rocket, with Meowth instantly demanding that the boy hand over the stone, but of course the boy refused, finding the stone important if he was polishing it. Jesse and James simply told him he didn't have a choice and grabbed him. The boy tried to scream to alert others, but they placed a gag with a red X over his mouth and tied him up, and then threw him to the ground, with the boy unable to do anything as Meowth grabbed the stone, which was apparently a light stone, and Team Rocket began celebrating their successful capture, doing a happy dance along with Wobbuffet as he forcibly popped out of his Pokeball, and then they wasted no time making their getaway as they hopped in the Meowth Blue. Right as Team Rocket left, the boy's sister, or the older sister, happened to be walking up the stairs to the lighthouse to check on her brother, very happy that he was responsibly polishing the stone. However, when she reached the top, she noticed her brother struggling on the ground, tied up and gagged, so she untied him and asked what happened. Very shocked, and calling her brother by his name, Thatcher. Once Thatcher was untied and ungagged, he cried out, extremely scared, what had happened, explaining that the light stone, which was the source of light for the lighthouse, basically powering it, so that's why it was called the Lightstone, had been stolen. Meanwhile, Ash and the gang were now traveling up a steep mountain cliff, going through the fog. While Ash was excited to get to Mauville City, May was very concerned by this thick fog, being a bit scared. Brock agreed and warned that they should all be careful, although when the fog got even worse, he quickly changed his suggestion to instead making a camp until the fog cleared, and also claimed that they could probably use a rest anyways, since it wasn't good to continue walking in the fog if they were tired. That just increased their chances of getting lost. Ash simply told Brock and May to quit their worrying, stating that they couldn't let the goddamn fog get the better of them as he continued on. However, he got his foot caught in a root that he couldn't see and tripped into a puddle. A puddle of mud, to be precise. So Ash was covered, making everyone laugh, amused that Ash's cockiness had resulted in him falling, while Ash just lied in the puddle, embarrassed and confused. Ash then finally agrees with Brock, May, and now Max, as he liked May and Brock's idea, that they should take a little break to wait for the fog to pass. And Ash was now down for this, because if they took a break, then that would give him time to hang his clothes on a tree and dry them off after falling into the wet puddle. As they all waited, Ash was kind of depressed, sad that he had proven himself wrong about the fog not being that dangerous, as he pouted on a rock. Max then looked at a map of the area through his Pokénav and came to the conclusion that the only way to get to Mauville was through these woods, so they couldn't leave them and leave the fog. They would have to go through the fog eventually. And Max then spotted what appeared to be a lighthouse on the Pokénav and questioned where that could be, remarking how a lighthouse would be very useful. Just then, Ash heard a voice belonging to a woman who asked when the fog was going to go away, to which Ash replied that he didn't know. Although, upon replaying the voice in his head, he realized that he recognized the voice. It belonged to Jessie. And we then see Team Rocket talking in their Meowth Blue. While Jessie was complaining about the fog, Meowth was talking with James about what kind of effect the stone would have on electric-type Pokemon, since the stone was apparently activated by electric-type Pokemon and their electric attacks. Suddenly, they all stopped talking as they heard Pikachu in the distance, and Jessie informed James and Meowth of this, asking if they had heard Pikachu as well, and James and Meowth confirmed this. Sure enough, the fog then clears a little bit, and they looked through the remainder to see that their balloon was passing by a cliff, and this cliff was where Ash and the gang were. When Team Rocket saw Ash and the gang, though, Ash and the gang obviously saw Team Rocket, and Ash asked them what the fuck they were doing. Jessie tries to lie that they didn't come to capture Pikachu, to catch Ash and the gang off guard, although Meowth quickly reveals the truth, stating that although they were just passing by, they might as well steal Pikachu while they were there, and declared that they were going to use him to power up some sort of light stone that they stole. So, James sent out his Cacnea and ordered it to use Pin Missile, and thankfully, Cacnea did so, because it didn't prickle him first as usual. The Pin Missile heads straight for Ash and the gang, but Ash had Pikachu use Iron Tail, and since the Iron Tail was mastered, it was able to deflect the Pin Missile and send it right back at Team Rocket, which causes Team Rocket to flail around, and James to flail around especially, as Cacnea proceeded to hug him, finally. The Pin Missile then managed to launch the Meowth balloon backwards, causing Meowth to drop the stone. And it happens to land right next to Pikachu, so Pikachu stands on it to safeguard it from Team Rocket, as he uses a Thunderbolt to blow up Team Rocket's balloon and send Team Rocket blasting off down into the water below, off the cliff. For some reason, when Pikachu used Thunderbolt while standing on the stone began to glow. Maybe Meowth was onto something about electric attacks activating it. Anyways, as Ash and the gang celebrated defeating Team Rocket, they noticed this glowing stone. However, Pikachu soon jumped off of it, and it caused the glowing to stop, making Ash curious, as he remarked that this stone didn't seem like an ordinary stone, and picked it up. Just then, the brother and sister from the beginning of the episode came up, and the sister immediately called Ash a thief, believing him to be trying to steal the stone, and he tells him to drop the stone. As for the brother Thatcher, he just stays quiet. Ash mentions that he didn't steal anything, not knowing what the sister, who was named Alyssa, was talking about. But Alyssa didn't believe Ash, as she challenged him to a battle to get back the stolen stone, sending out her Magnemite. Ash simply sends out his Pikachu, and has it use Quick Attack, which, much to Alyssa's surprise, takes out Magnemite in a single hit. Alyssa yells at Thatcher, stating that she needed his help now that Magnemite was defeated to stop the thief. However, Thatcher rebutted that Ash didn't look like the thieves that had actually taken his stone. Alyssa simply shrugged this off, as from her point of view, Ash had to be the thief because he had the stone. So she still ordered Thatcher to help her out by sending out some of his Pokemon, though Thatcher still refuses, reminding Alyssa that he's never battled with his Pokemon before. Alyssa simply told him to send them out anyways, so Thatcher stated that he would send out his Pokemon, and they would just do the battling for themselves, as he sent out 2 Pokemon, Plusle and Minun. May scanned Plusle with her Pokédex, while Ash scanned Minun with his. Alyssa then suggested that Thatcher tell his Plusle and Minun to use Helping Hand, and Thatcher did this, leading Plusle and Minun to rush up to Magnemite and try and happily cheer him up, as they begin to charge up electricity by touching tails, making Ash and May wonder what the fuck they were doing, because they hadn't seen Pokemon work together like this before. But, sure enough, when Plusle and Minun touched tails, lightning emitted from them and launched into the sky. And eventually, this lightning comes back down and strikes Magnemite, which revives him, making him able to battle once again, much to Ash and the gang's shock. Magnemite then goes in for a Thunderbolt, now being even stronger than before, because of the lightning strike. Thankfully, the Thunderbolt missed, though just barely, so Ash and the gang still panicked, as Ash and Brock tried to persuade Alyssa that they weren't thieves, telling her to cut it out and explaining that they didn't mean any harm, with Brock waving his hands in the air as a way to make peace. Alyssa still didn't believe Ash and Brock, though, and declined Brock's offer of peace, stating that they would only have peace if Ash and Brock handed over the stone, saying that she would do whatever it takes to get it, stating that it was her and her brother's stone. Upon hearing this, Ash decided to peacefully return the stone to Alyssa, apologizing, stating that he didn't know that it was hers, and he wasn't trying to do anything to it. Just then, though, Team Rocket appeared after climbing up a cliff, injured from this and their previous blast-off. Team Rocket simply ignored their injuries, though, and demanded the stone, although Ash and the gang and Thatcher and Alyssa refused. Especially Thatcher, who recognized Team Rocket and revealed to Alyssa and Ash and the gang that they were the real thieves. Team Rocket refused to take no for an answer, and they jumped in to steal the stone from Alyssa, leading Ash to take action as a way to apologize for initially taking the stone, as he has Pikachu use Thunderbolt, sending Team Rocket blasting off, making Thatcher in awe of Ash and Pikachu's strength, noticing the bond that Ash and Pikachu shared as they happily hugged each other after the battle. With Team Rocket gone, Ash could now officially return the stone to Alyssa, who thanked Ash and apologized for thinking Ash and the gang were thieves, officially introducing herself as Alyssa, as May, Max, and Brock forgave Alyssa for not trusting them and introduced themselves as well. Ash was intrigued, though, as to what the stone was exactly for, so he asked, and as an apology for not trusting them, Alyssa decided to show Ash and the gang, as Alyssa took her brother and Ash and the gang to the lighthouse from the beginning of the episode, and she placed the stone back on the pedestal where it was originally. She then explained what the stone was for, as she pointed out the very obvious fog that constantly surrounded the area, and stated that the only way for travelers to get through it properly was to light the way with the lighthouse, and the lighthouse was lit with the stone, stating that the stone had been the source of the lighthouse's light for centuries. Also stating that the village around the area basically viewed the lightstone as a treasure, and that was obviously because of how instrumental it was to getting rid of the troublesome fog. And she also explained that the lighthouse was solely powered by the lightstone, that there was no other way to power it. Ash was more so curious as to how the lightstone worked, so she told Plusle and Minun to give a demonstration, as both of them leaped onto the pedestal and touched the stone, causing it to light up just like when Pikachu touched it, leading Alyssa to explain that electric Pokemon had the power to charge up the stone, even to the extent that it could light up the entire area. May and Pikachu were particularly amazed with the lightstone, with May commenting how, with the light from the stone, it would definitely prevent people from getting lost in the fog. Ash and Pikachu then snuggled up together to enjoy the light, when Alyssa commented that he seemed to be very fond of his Pokemon. Brock blushed and began to flirt with Alyssa, thinking that Alyssa was talking about him, but Max unfortunately reminded Brock that Alyssa was referring to Ash. May didn't deny Ash's love for his Pokemon, because that was obvious, but she stated that Ash was probably just cuddling with Pikachu because he was super cold up in the lighthouse without his jacket. Ash then got the chills and sneezed, admitting that, yeah, he was a bit cold, and complained about how he didn't have his blue vest with him that he usually had because he left it where they were, still drying. But he realized that he did actually grab it, he just forgot, and he immediately put it on, since, much to his relief, it was now dry, without any mud on it. Upon seeing Ash in his signature blue vest jacket, Thatcher went absolutely batshit insane with excitement, claiming that Ash must be the one, he must be the legendary hero. Although, when he mentioned this to Alyssa, Alyssa had her doubts about this, telling Thatcher to calm down, but Thatcher doesn't give up, saying that Ash matched the legendary hero perfectly, confusing Ash, obviously, as to what Thatcher was talking about. Thatcher begged Alyssa to help him show Ash what they were talking about, and Alyssa agreed, hoping that Thatcher would calm down, as Thatcher and Alyssa then showed Ash and the gang a small inscription, basically one of those ancient tablets that was also on the pedestal, where the lightstone was placed. And the two siblings proceed to explain what the tablet said, stating that, long ago, apparently a legendary hero, who was described as a man, dressed in blue, accompanied by an electric Pokemon, brought the lightstone to their village, known as Misty Village. Apparently, the tablet also stated that the village and the stone would be in danger one day, and on that day, the legendary hero would return with a Pikachu of all Pokemon to stop the attack. Thatcher then also stated that the hero, when they came back, would teach the person who was currently protecting the stone, being Thatcher or his sister, how to defend themselves, and in doing so, it would then just be up to some Thatcher or his sister to take out any attacks on the village from now on, including anyone who tried to take the Light Stone. Alyssa still expressed her doubts that Ash was even the hero, and stated that there was no point in saying any of this, and Ash actually agreed with Alyssa, trying to assure Thatcher that he was no hero, but Thatcher was not convinced, stating that Ash absolutely had to be the hero, and he grabbed Ash by the arms, and practically begged Ash to help train him on how to defend his village. Ash was very nervous, still obviously not being the hero, but he didn't want to let Thatcher down, so he said he would try his best, anyways, leaving May and Max shocked that Ash was actually going to go through with this. Thatcher was so excited to finally have who he believed the hero to be in his presence, and he decided that he should lead Ash and the gang and his sister back to the village so that the hero could meet the people in the village. So Thatcher led Ash and the gang and his sister to the village through a forest. Alyssa was very annoyed by Thatcher's insistence, believing that Ash was probably even more annoyed than her for being dragged into this whole thing, even though he wasn't even the hero, and apologized to Ash on her brother's behalf, although Ash didn't seem to mind that much, partially because he was going to a village he had never gone to before. Even though Ash didn't mind, this didn't stop Alyssa from venting her frustrations, stating that whenever Thatcher got something in his mind, it was very hard for him to forget it. Upon hearing this, May was somewhat impressed with Thatcher, admitting that he was definitely a determined kid. However, as Max began to complain that they were wasting their time following Thatcher, May realized what it was like to have a little brother that was super annoying, and began to have sympathy for Alyssa, stating that her brother annoyed her as well. They all then arrive in the village, as Thatcher shouts out to the entire town that they had found the one, they'd found the hero, leading all the townspeople to come out of their houses, being alerted by Thatcher's yelling, and all of them excited to hear about the hero having arrived. Thatcher then noticed, however, that the main person that he wanted to talk to, his grandfather, who really believed in the story of the hero, didn't come out, believing that he must not have heard anything from being locked inside his house, as he seemed to be pretty much a hermit. So Thatcher went and knocked on his grandfather's door, and his grandfather came out and asked what all the ruckus was about and what Thatcher wanted, leading Thatcher to excitedly explain that Ash was the hero, and the hero had arrived, although he said this so excitedly and loudly that his grandfather couldn't understand what the fuck he just said, so this led Alyssa to calmly whisper in her grandfather's ear what Thatcher said, making Thatcher and Alyssa's grandfather extremely happy, just like Thatcher had suspected, declaring that now Alyssa and Thatcher would have a mentor, believing that Ash was in fact the hero, and Thatcher and Alyssa's grandfather then stated that Thatcher and Alyssa should invite their mentor for lunch. Thatcher, being in awe of Ash, who he believed to be the hero, obviously thought that this was a good idea, and invited Ash, along with his friends May, Max, and Brock, to lunch, as Brock tried to flirt with Alyssa, claiming that he could make a delicious lunch just for her, although Alyssa declined and stated that she would just serve some tea for lunch. So Ash and the gang went with Alyssa and Thatcher to Alyssa and Thatcher's house, and Ash sat on the porch drinking some tea that Alyssa had served to him. Just then, Plusle and Minun, followed by Thatcher, came up to Ash and Pikachu, and Thatcher explained that for the training that he wanted from Ash on how to defend the village, he wanted it to be battle training, since he wanted to finally learn how to actually battle with his Plusle and Minun, and wanted to be more like Ash. Specifically, he wanted to be a more confident trainer, like he saw that Ash was. Also adding that he should be trained instead of his sister, since his Plusle and Minun knew the move Helping Hand, which was all about helping people, so he thought he should help people as well. Ash hadn't even thought of the possibility of Alyssa potentially wanting to be the protector of the village, so he looked at her as a way of asking if she wanted to be the protector, and Alyssa simply stated that she didn't really want to, and thought that Thatcher would be better for the role, admitting that even though she got annoyed by his passion, it would be good to help out the village. So Ash officially agreed to train Thatcher on how to protect the village by battling, making Thatcher, Plusle, and Minun all happy as they jumped for joy, and Alyssa was happy as well to see that her brother's forcefulness and rambunctiousness was finally paying off for once. Ash then began his training by taking Thatcher, Plusle, and Minun to a quiet spot in the woods to have a calming environment, and explained to Thatcher how the most important thing when Pokemon battling was getting to know your Pokemon and putting trust in them, stating that if you didn't do this, then your Pokemon likely wouldn't listen when you ordered attacks. Also teaching Thatcher the best way to call upon your Pokemon to use certain attacks, stating that you had to do it in a very determined way so that your Pokemon would be motivated. And stated that another way to motivate your Pokemon was to smile during battle, even in hard moments, as Ash showed off his battle smile. And then instructed Thatcher to do the same, although Thatcher didn't do nearly as good of a battle smile, so Ash did a battle smile so intense fire grew in his eyes, and proving that a battle smile helped your bond with your Pokemon, Pikachu jumped up, doing a similar battle smile to Ash. Thatcher then tried again, and was able to actually bond with his Plusle and Minun, making them jump up in happiness, and show off their own smiles. After all this, Ash moved on to the second lesson, being teaching Thatcher some intimidating poses to do during battle to frighten your opponents, stating that if your opponent wasn't already frightened enough by your bond with your partner Pokemon, then you had to try and intimidate them yourself. After this, Ash moved on to lesson 3, which was to be able to be quick during battle. This was both in the case of your actual Pokemon doing their moves fast, and also you being able to think quick, and on the spot as well. Ash then had Plusle and Minun test their endurance by running around the forest to increase their speed, running around himself along with Pikachu so that they could guide the Plusle and Minun, and Ash also made Thatcher run with them as well, stating one of the other most important lessons that Thatcher had to learn, which was that if your Pokemon had to go through hardships, then the trainer would have to go through hardships as well, and this included running if their Pokemon were putting themselves through exhausting running. As Max, May, Brock, and Alyssa watch all this, Max and May laughed, wondering when Ash's ridiculous training was going to be over, not seeing how a lot of this was very useful. And they also didn't think that Ash should even be doing any training, because he wasn't the actual hero. However, Alyssa stated that even if Ash wasn't the hero, just Thatcher thinking that he was a great thing, as it gave Thatcher motivation, and she explained that Thatcher definitely needed that motivation, because without it, back when he was younger, he used to cower in the lighthouse all day, even when Plusle and Minun tried to cheer him up, explaining that the reason why Thatcher would cower was because he was sad for his Plusle and Minun and didn't think that he deserved them. He basically thought that they deserved a trainer that was actually competent and could battle with them. So Alyssa was glad to see Thatcher actually being able to communicate with Plusle and Minun and kind of prove himself to them and prove himself to himself now. We then saw a flashback of this old, depressed Thatcher in the lighthouse with his Plusle and Minun, as well as Alyssa, there trying to comfort him. And upon Alyssa remembering this led her to look in the distance toward the lighthouse, and she soon saw that the fog was coming yet again. And it was even heavier this time, so Alyssa knew that the lighthouse absolutely had to be lit up to provide some light. So she ran off. Ash and the gang and Thatcher followed, along with the happy Pikachu, Plusle, and Minun. Once everyone arrived at the lighthouse, since the lightstone was already placed on the pedestal, all Alyssa had to do was send out her Magnemite and have it sit on the pedestal to power up the stone. Suddenly, Ash and Thatcher and Plusle, Minun, and Pikachu all heard something though, so they went just outside the lighthouse to investigate, and soon saw a giant Zapdos robot appearing through the fog. And right after this, Team Rocket came out of the cockpit, revealing that it was their Zapdos robot, and they sat on the head of the mech as they said their motto, and then went back inside, stating that they would not give up their chances at getting the stone, as they asked one last time for it, but of course, Ash and the gang refused, leading James to get annoyed, as he simply told Meowth to get on with their true plan with the Zapdos mech to get the stone, as Meowth pressed a switch inside the mech, which made two saws appear on it, and the saws began to chop away at the top of the lighthouse, causing it to fall off, also due to the lighthouse supporting pillars being destroyed. Due to the top being destroyed, this meant that the stone, as well as Alyssa, were now fully open to attacks from Team Rocket's Zapdos robot, since the roof was no longer sheltering them. And Ash and Thatcher almost had their fair share of trouble as well, as when the roof of the lighthouse fell off, it almost fell on top of them, although they were able to dodge just in time. In an attempt to stop the Zapdos robot, as well as further destruction, Alyssa had her Magnemite use Thunderbolt, but the attack just bounced off of Zapdos, or the Zapdos robot. This caught both Alyssa and Magnemite off guard, so Team Rocket used this opportunity to press another button to unleash two hands from the Zapdos robot, and one grabbed the startled Magnemite, and the other one grabbed the Lightstone. Just then, Ash and Thatcher ran up to the part of the remaining lighthouse where Alyssa was, and Ash promised to help her as he had his Pikachu use Thunderbolt on the Zapdos robot, but just like Magnemite's attack, the electric attack bounced off, not doing any damage. So Alyssa instead told Thatcher to help, reminding him that he wanted to train to be the protector of the village. Thatcher knew Alyssa was right, so he told his Plusle and Minun to help power Pikachu up by using Helping Hand to make him stronger, but then Alyssa stopped Thatcher, stating that him just spamming Helping Hand to make others stronger wasn't showing off his strength as the protector. If he wanted to show off his strength, he needed to battle himself, instead of having others do it. Thatcher knew this, although he became nervous, still not fully knowing how to battle, because clearly Ash's teachings weren't very good, and because of this, no one ended up taking action, and this allowed Meowth to deploy the hand again and grab Pikachu. This led Brock, May, and Max to suggest that Pikachu try another Thunderbolt while it was captured inside the hand to escape, so Pikachu does this, but the hand, surprise surprise, was electric-proof as well. Jesse, from inside the cockpit, then told James that since they had Pikachu, who was way more powerful, they didn't need Magnemite, and Meowth and James agreed, so Meowth pressed a button, which tossed away Alyssa's Magnemite out of one of the hands, and Alyssa caught it. Team Rocket was happy with their current capture, so they simply laughed and began to fly away into the fog, now going unseen. Ash tried to call out to them, but they had already disappeared. Thatcher immediately fell to the ground in sadness when he saw this, as he blamed himself for Pikachu getting stolen, believing basically that if he could have just commanded Plusle and Minun properly, then maybe they could have done something. And he also particularly felt bad, because he thought that he was supposed to be the protector of the village, right? And he thought that he would be able to, with the legendary hero Ash's help, but clearly Ash's advice didn't help, so not only was Thatcher sad about Pikachu getting stolen, he was sad about the prospect of the legendary hero helping out was false. Plusle and Minun tried to console Thatcher, but he was really sad, so Ash tried, basically telling him that it wasn't his fault, reminding Thatcher that he wasn't actually the hero, so therefore Thatcher hadn't been trained by the hero yet, so he shouldn't have been expected to save the village. However, Ash remained confident that even though he wasn't the actual hero, he could still save the village by saving the Lightstone, and also save his Pikachu. stating that he could stop Team Rocket if he just trusted Pikachu, and stated that even Thatcher could probably stop them if he trusted Plusle and Minun enough. Ash began to demonstrate this importance of trusting your Pokemon, declaring that he would get both Pikachu and the Light Stone back. As he trusted Pikachu's ability to use a Thunderbolt, yelling out through the fog, telling Pikachu to use Thunderbolt on the Light Stone, so that the Thunderbolt would be more powerful, and would also illuminate the stone, therefore revealing where Team Rocket's Zapdos robot had flew off to into the fog. Thatcher expressed his doubts that Pikachu would be able to hear Ash, since Team Rocket's Zapdos robot was too far away, but Brock stated his belief to Thatcher, interrupting Thatcher, basically saying that even though Ash and Pikachu were far away, since they shared a special bond with friendship and trust very much involved, they were apparently really able to hear each other's voices, so Brock was confident that Pikachu could hear Ash. Unfortunately, though, Pikachu didn't hear Ash the first time, so when Ash called out again, Pikachu heard him and began to use Thunderbolt on the stone, lighting it up. So now the Zapdos mech could be seen. And this caused Ash to see the Zapdos mech that was currently going to land, so he ran towards it, and on his way to the Zapdos mech, he passed by Thatcher and encouraged him, stating his belief that maybe he was the hero in the blue jacket, and maybe Thatcher was supposed to be his apprentice, so he simply reminded Thatcher to trust Plusle and Minun during battling, and stated that if he did this, then Thatcher could protect the village. Thatcher smiled, hoping Ash was right, and ran with Ash as Brock, May, and Max, and Alyssa joined as well. We then see that Team Rocket had landed down in their Zapdos mech somewhere in the foggy forest, and had laid down a Team Rocket picnic blanket and began to have a victory feast to celebrate actually catching Pikachu. Pikachu simply stared at Team Rocket angrily during this, and he tried to escape the hand with another Thunderbolt, but unfortunately, it seemed as though from using all of his electricity to power up the stone, he was beginning to get tired. To make things worse for Pikachu, as it got tired, this meant that it no longer even had enough electricity to continue lighting up the stone, so the stone stopped glowing. Pikachu tried his best to get the stone to light back up, but he just didn't have enough electric power left, making Jessie left, taunting that Pikachu was just wasting its energy, and Meowth and James had that Ash and the gang would never find Pikachu without a light, because the fog was so bad. However, Pikachu soon smiled and said something to Team Rocket, which Meowth translated as Pikachu telling Team Rocket that the battle wasn't over until it was over. Team Rocket tried to question what Pikachu meant by this, still enjoying their food and their drinks, but before Pikachu could answer, it was revealed that he got excited because he had saw that Ash and the gang were approaching in the distance, and had enough light to find Pikachu. They didn't need it at the very end. So, sure enough, Ash and the gang showed up, along with Thatcher and Alyssa really wanted the goddamn stone back, so she ordered Team Rocket to give it back immediately, but Team Rocket refused and retreated back inside their Zapdos mech, and started to take off yet again, but Thatcher was determined to not let Team Rocket get away with either the stone or Pikachu, wanting to prove himself, so he had his Plusle and Minun use an electric attack, which appeared to be a Thunderbolt on the Zapdos mech, but just like with any other regular electric attack, the mech was completely unaffected due to being primarily electric-proof, making Team Rocket laugh as they taunt Thatcher, but Brock then noticed that Pikachu was glowing, and that made everyone come to the conclusion that the Thunderbolt must have actually been charging Pikachu up, and the Thunderbolt wasn't a regular Thunderbolt at all, it was Helping Hand. Basically, Thatcher had decided to help out others with their attacks. Alyssa tried to remind Thatcher that he should be battling on his own, not helping others attack, but Ash reminded Alyssa that Thatcher was still ordering his Pokemon to use an attack, and he was still using his bond with them to make them listen, so it still counted. Anyways, Ash and Pikachu both showed off their battle smile to each other, being immensely happy, since Pikachu was now recharged to full power, thanks to Plusle and Minun's Helping Hand, which allowed it to use a really powerful Thunderbolt attack, which overloaded the Zapdos mech's electric resistance mechanisms, and sent the Zapdos robot plummeting to the ground, destroyed. Also shocking Team Rocket, literally, and destroying the hands holding Pikachu in the stone, causing Pikachu in the stone to fall to the ground, and Ash to happily catch Pikachu and hug him, relieved to have him back, while Alyssa caught the stone. With the Zapdos mech now on the ground, Team Rocket was bitchy, with Jessie yelling that their situation wasn't fucking fair, and Meowth stating that Pikachu always ruined everything. However, it wasn't just Pikachu that Team Rocket had to be concerned about, as Thatcher was determined to be the one to end off Team Rocket, as he had his Plusle and Minun rush up to the crashed mech, and had them use Helping Hand on each other to power up their own electric attacks, and as Plusle and Minun gathered enough electrical energy, they both used a massive powered-up spark on the Zapdos mech at once, completely destroying the remains of it, and sending Team Rocket blasting off. With Team Rocket gone, the smoke that had been caused from the explosion cleared, and Plusle and Minun happily jumped up into Thatcher's arms, showing that they now had a great bond with each other, and Alyssa congratulated Thatcher on this, and also becoming confident enough to actually order his Pokemon to do shit, and May admitted that Thatcher could be a great trainer one day. Now, and Max added that using Plusle and Minun's Helping Hands in combination was a great idea. Thatcher thanked all of them for the compliments, and congratulated his Plusle and Minun, and they happily showed their battle smile to each other, showcasing their trust once more. A bit later, Alyssa then returned the Lightstone to the lighthouse so that it could get back to its job of illuminating the area, and soon enough, the fog cleared. And with that done, Thatcher proceeded to yap to Ash about how the tablet was right, and Ash was the hero who had trained Thatcher to save the village, and he stated that he believed Ash should now be his permanent mentor. Ash was hesitant to do this, obviously, as he just laughed, trying to get out of the situation. Since he didn't want to be someone's permanent mentor, he had a journey to go on. After all, he was the main character. So he decided to distract Thatcher from this by simply just promising to battle Thatcher one day. And Thatcher agrees to this, calling Ash master, which makes May smile, teasing Ash about being an old guy now, since he was a mentor and a master. Brock, before Ash and the gang departed, then tried to flirt once more with Alyssa, but Max dragged him off. Yeah, that's right, Max was now taking over for Misty's role of dragging Brock away. No way. Then Ash and the gang say goodbye to Thatcher and Alyssa, waving, and they all head off to Mauville City, leaving Thatcher, Alyssa, and Plus One Minun behind, so that Ash could get his third Hoenn Gym badge. The episode then ends with Plus One Minun calling out to Ash in a way to thank him for making Thatcher more confident with them.